Why don't you put that down so we can talk?
Out here in the wild, this is how we talk.
Destiny is a game that everyone has heard about, and if you haven't by now, then there must be something wrong with you, clearly. The online sensation will be hitting next-gen and current-gen consoles on the 9th of September this year. So, is Destiny all that it's cracked up to be?
Alright, this time we go wherever we want. Nothing holding us back. Guardians have been planting beacons here to connect back to the tower. We find them, we can help the city. I'm already detecting a few.
Props to Bungie for getting Peter Dinklage involved. For those who may not know who Dinklage is, Tyrion Lannister from Game of Thrones voices Ghost, your floating robot partner that narrates everything and basically tells you all that you need to know. At first, we were a bit skeptical of Bungie for cottoning on the actor at the height of his popularity, but can honestly say that he has done a fantastic job. His ability to sway conversations to a serious or comedic tone, as well as create memes instantly, is pretty much unparalleled. Wikipedia describes Destiny as an online multiplayer action role-playing first-person shooter in a mythic sci-fi open-world setting. We're not entirely sure how that could have been more descriptive, but aside from being a mouthful, it certainly works. Destiny could also be described as a mix of everything that has been good in many different games. Subtle humor that could take on the Monkey Island series, all enveloped in a rich and expansive world that could shatter the beliefs of hardcore WoW players. Bungie created a fantastic balance in the game that keeps you wanting to play more and more. As long as your internet connection is stable and holds up, you should be able to put on countless hours into the game because there is always something to do, even in the beta. The game offers the players a huge battleground in most occasions and a plethora of tools with which to accomplish the tasks set out before you. At the very beginning of the game, you choose your skill set and customize your character. From that choice, you head straight into customizing your appearance, where you are given more options than The Sims. Aside from the fact that it doesn't really make much of a difference apart from having players create an individual identity in the shooter where facial focus isn't really key, it worked. In the beta, as you head from mission to mission, you slowly gain XP and level up. Aside from all the shooting and action playstyles, you can find loot and upgrade your gear and weapons and bring in new specialities as you keep going. It brings an MMO style of play too, with reportedly having in-game raids as well as a bunch of strikes that players can play co-op. Thankfully, this doesn't mean that you need to turn into a social butterfly to play the game, because the solo game is offered to everyone and works really well. As you go around doing different missions and completing goals, you may run into a player every now and then, who will probably wave at you or ultimately be rather friendly. From there though, Bungie will encourage players to team up because the game offers events that players can take part in which will have them work towards a common goal. The bottom line then is that Destiny is pretty awesome. It works really well and plays like an absolute dream. If Bungie continues to go the route that it is going, then there's definitely a game of the year here. And while it is able to keep your attention for a really long time, it may bring resurgence in older games moving forward. Next up, we also take a quick look at World of Tanks on Xbox 360. Raw power and heavy guns are the primal ingredients that drive World of Tanks. An online multiplayer shooter that reimagines what mid-20th century warfare might be like if it were fought solely with rolling metal doom machines. A diverse range of terrain layouts in each battlefield create natural choke points that speed you along towards the opening volleys of cannon fire. And once things get crazy, it's rare that a matchup bumps up against the 15-minute time limit before one side is declared the victor. Getting killed is serious business. Your annihilated tank is unavailable until the match is over, and this prevents you from immediately using a tank that gets destroyed. The upside is that you are free to grab another available tank in your arsenal and dive into a different match. Rather than being a chaotic free-for-all, World of Tanks takes on a deliberate, strategy-minded approach that favors tactical prowess over outright brazenness. Barreling headlong into the middle of a firefight with your cannons thundering, even in a more heavily armored tank, is a quick way to end up a pile of smoldering scrap. Instead, thoughtful planning prevails more often than not. Using the terrain to your advantage, you can hide behind bushes for camouflage, use hills and buildings to hamper incoming artillery, and position your tank at an angle to spread out incoming fire and increase your chances of survival. The Xbox 360 edition is a great start, offering tons of tanks and a strong online player base to dive into. Head over to the Telkom gaming website to read the in-depth review and find out how to get your hands on a copy of both Destiny and World of Tanks.